Hey, everybody. My name is Barry Itel. I am the editorial director at the National Cybersecurity Alliance. That's the NCA. I'm in New York City. I write all the articles you read on our website. If you don't know about our website, it's StaySafeOnline.org. There's a lot of great articles for free on all sorts of, that's right, cuffing season is fishing season now. Um, yeah, there's all sorts of great resources about romance scams, all sorts of scams, across the country from me. But my coworker is Cliff. Maybe tell the people about yourself a little bit, Cliff.
Hey, yeah, I'm Cliff Steinhauer. My title is the Director of Information Security and Engagement here at the NCA. So I run our security of NCA, and I do a lot of speaking and events about cybersecurity to help inform everybody and explain things about cybersecurity. And I do a lot of media interviews as well. So if you Google my name, you'll probably see my name
I know
come up
Cliff's
in
been in the news lately.
lots of
He's in the news.
articles
Yeah.
and local news stories and things like that. So I'm always answering questions about all the things. So yeah, today it's all about romance scams, Barry.
Mhm. Yes. Yes. Maybe I'll get to the we have a handy document here to guide us through. Think of this as like it's like Loveline, but for cybercrime. Is how we're thinking about
Love
it.
line for
It's a
cybercrime. Dang.
open forum Q&A. I think you have to use the Q&A function. I don't think you can just start talking, which is probably for the best. But please use the Q&A function. We'll try to be monitoring the chat too. We got Lucas on the ones and twos to he's making sure everything's going smoothly on the back end. So yeah, the title of this webinar is Why Romance Scams Work and How to Protect Yourself and Others. Basically, romance scams are one of the fastest growing forms of online fraud. There's a lot of different subcategories. Another type of scam you might hear about a lot is pig butchering or like an investment scam. A lot of other scams start as romance scams, so it's a wide category, and these just don't target like vulnerable single people on Valentine's Day. They can target everybody from high-powered CEOs to like literally all of us who use the internet. And the way they work is they use emotional manipulation, fake identities, and nowadays very sophisticated tactics with the rise of generative AI and other programs. And they've kind of really commodified this practice. Like there's whole factories working on it around the world, and they're out there to steal your money, gain your trust, get your personal information, maybe break into your workplace and or work digital workplace, see what's going on. But it's nasty stuff. So Cliff, like you said, you've been talking to the media a lot. What's that? That was my babbling explanation of romance scams. What's your like crisp elevator pitch on what a romance scam is?
All right, time for the crispy. So,
I know.
it's a type of fraud. So, romance scams are a type of fraud where the scammer pretends to be interested in a romantic relationship in order to build trust, and ultimately they exploit that trust for money, gift cards, cryptocurrency, or personal information. So, typically they start on dating apps or social media, or other messaging platforms. It might start off as a wrong number text, which I
Hmm.
just got one
Oh no,
before this call started. It's like, hey, are you doing anything special today?
you
And
are though. Are they
I,
in the? Are they in the? Sound off in the chat if that's you
yeah, yeah.
trying to scam Cliff.
It would be fun to screen share a conversation on that. But like, so anyway, so they just kind of try to strike up conversation with you.
Hmm.
And so that's a little easier to do on a dating app or
Hmm.
and then you kind of go down to like social media, random outreach, and then the random text message. But in the end, they all will end up trying to build a relationship with you. And once you have established a friendly relationship and trust is starting to be built, that's where the vulnerability opens up for them to start to introduce scammy types of suggestions. So, the real thing that I want people to think about and remember is that these scams are not about technology, they're about psychology. The technology just gives the scammers more reach and more tools to scale and make them more believable. So, it is also important. You kind of mentioned like scam factories and things. It's the threat against us isn't just one-off like people who decide they're going to scam people. These are criminal organizations, thousands of people around the world with dozens of smartphones or computers or accounts, managed by AI, and they're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week to do these types of scams. And in a lot of instances, the scammers themselves are victims. So they've been tricked into coming to work for a scam center where they thought they were going to an IT job or a customer service job. So they're skilled people, they're smart people. They're being forced to do bad things. So it's not just one-to-one anymore. It's thousands against us, trying to trick us into doing these things. So the romance scam is sometimes a long game where they will spend a long time having conversations and establishing trust and developing that relationship and really hooking somebody in before the ask eventually comes.
Great. Yeah, that's a good solid definition here of what we're talking about. Yeah, like so we got a question here. This is a very loose, open question and answer session. Call you can't call in, but you can type in. All right, someone who's anonymous is asking, are there any resources recommended to see if your information is being used to scam others? I'm assuming like maybe your picture. Um, so like if someone's catfishing as you, or your other information here.
Yeah, you could, that's a good question. You could definitely do a reverse image
I
search
was
on your
thinking
own
that.
picture.
I was
So
thinking
you
that.
do that by taking maybe your profile picture on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it is and putting it into a search engine and seeing if it pops up anywhere unexpected.
When you're really
Also
attractive,
just
like
Googling your
Cliff and I,
name.
you have to do that pretty often.
Yeah. You could also just Google your name or search for your own name on social media platforms and then see if there are duplicates. A lot of times I feel like they would just use a different name, but scammers don't have to use real people's identities anymore. They
Yep.
can just spin up an identity.
Yeah.
They can generate a profile photo of a description of a person, and then that person doesn't exist anywhere else, so it makes that kind of a unique profile photo. And they can also say, create a profile of a 27-year-old female from Texas, and they just tell it what to write, and it will spit out a perfect dating app profile or something. So really easy for the scammers to do that these days with generative AI.
Let's talk about dating apps for a little bit. You said that a lot of these scams they start on dating apps. What's that process or like what should be something that like you watch out for like pretty quickly into like the conversation that someone's like, "Hey, cutie," because they're not going to ask for money right away. Is the thing.
Correct. Yeah. So you're right. The scams are a little longer term, right? So what are we looking for? What are the red flags?
Because we also don't want to waste our time
Correct.
on
Yeah,
scrubs, as
exactly.
TLC said.
That's right. So, the romance and the background of the scam are what set it up, right? Psychologically to get somebody hooked in, and they have to spend time to establish trust. It's not just right off the bat. So, I mean, some of the things you would look for or are, unreasonably attractive or perfect looking people, right? Like,
Jennifer Aniston or Brad
if you
Pitt,
know if you know you're a 6 and you're talking to a 10 all the time,
Timothy
there's something
Chalamet's
maybe going
texting.
on. But other than that, I mean, you can look we used to say, do a reverse image search on the profile picture and see if it pops up anywhere else. That could still work, but that might not necessarily work anymore because they can create unique pictures pretty easily. Um, I think one thing that people can look out for are, the relationship moves really fast. The person is super agreeable, you align on everything every time, lots of frequent communication. It seems like they're never too busy to answer, or they only answer at weird times of night. Like maybe if you think about time zones and if they're over in Asia, they're going to be more active at our nighttime or early morning. So if a lot of those messages are coming in batches during those times, or if they're just always responding, I mean, almost nobody is always responding in those initial early dating sites because that's like the game, right? You're supposed to kind of make yourself a little bit unavailable. But those aren't foolproof, right? It's hard to tell. So the thing is about if the relationship is moving really fast and if they're super remote, like if there's no way you're going to meet in person anytime soon, then you really have to be careful because most of these scams happen remotely. They happen online only in terms of the scale and the numbers. And there certainly are, local scammers that scam people in person. Like the Tinder swindler, that was somebody who definitely met people in person. And then the spin-off show since then, there's a lot of stories about, romance scammers in real life, that commit fraud
Makes
against
for better
people.
TV.
Yeah, it does make good TV, but it's a good lesson to see how they work. Um, I think, you don't want to waste time, right? So red flags are just too good to be true. Again, like we say that with a lot of stuff, but if it seems too good to be true, if it's moving really quickly, they're not necessarily always available for video calls at consistent times or inconsistent times that they communicate with you. It could be that they're busy scamming other victims. And then if you're unable to get on a video call with them, that's a big one. Unable to meet in person, unwillingness to talk on the phone and things like that. Or like if it's a really quick, like they can only talk to you for 5 minutes at a time or something. That could just indicate that they have other victims that they're scamming at the time. And then finally, of course, as soon as it moves to money, if they start talking about crypto investments, making money, that's a big one. Or if they are, far away and they want to travel and, something happens at the border or their luggage gets lost or they lose their plane ticket, they need money for such and such emergency or medical issue. As soon as money starts to get introduced, that's where it really starts to be most likely that it is a scam. And again, that may not happen right away, but a lot of times that's where it starts to escalate.
And we got some great questions going, but I have what you were talking about reminds me of a bit of a tangent. Have you ever heard of Eliza, the computer program? From like, I think it's either like the 60s or 70s, but the whole idea was that it was like early AI research, but they were basically reframing like you would talk to it, but it would basically just reframe your question to you. And that really charmed people by
Hmm.
so it's like
Yeah.
that's how that always agreeing kind of works. That they're just like, oh, like they just can rephrase what you said. I think people even like fell in love with the computer just because it was repeating what they said.
Right.
Kind of says a lot about us as humans. Okay, this is a great one from Walter here. How do you convince a victim that they are in a romance scam? Because I think this can actually be a very heartbreaking situation for a lot of people. Do you have any good tips? And again, it can be really hard.
Yeah, there's no easy answer to that one. I mean, somebody who doesn't believe that they're being scammed when they clearly are being scammed is just caught up in the relationship and not believing that it's a scam. And there's a lot of stories out there about police, FBI investigators unable to convince people with even showing them overwhelming evidence, that this is not real and not in their best interest. There's not a lot you can do. I mean, unless you control their money and you can cut it off, or if they have a mental illness or something and you can get them, committed or anything
Like a
like that. But
conservatorship or
beyond
something.
that, I mean, those are really unusual circumstances. I think you just have to um, inform them as much as you can with compassion and with empathy and and give them all the evidence and information you can. But after that, I mean, it's kind of up to the person to realize it for themselves. And unfortunately, that gets even harder when you're talking about elder folks and potential like dementia or Alzheimer's or just extreme loneliness and things like that. And it's just a really sad situation. And I know there are a lot of adults who have adult parents in that situation and they're just stuck. And that's a really hard place to be. And I'm not a psychologist, so I can't get into like the psychological things at play there, but there is a lot there. Um, and unfortunately, it's going to take them to realize it on their own before they will stop.
All right, yeah. Yeah. I know it's hard. We'll talk more about it, and we'll give you more red flags that you can try to point out to people. I think it's like patience and just persistence. It is like really important in these things. Um, so I could answer this one. This isn't really a question. It's not. It's more of a statement. I see reels on Facebook of attractive women wanting to meet me. This seems like a scam in the making. Yes. Um, all right, here's another one. What do you do if the scammer has photos of the person and their family? I'm assuming they mean not in like a revealing context, just like they have them from social media. We can talk about sextortion in a little bit, but what do you say to that question from Diana?
Which was the question? What
This is
can I
up
do if they
here.
have
What
photos
can
of
I
me and my
do?
family?
Yeah.
Report,
Hmm.
if it depends on what's going on. I mean, if you're posting photos online and they pick them up and do something else with them, you can report it on the platform, report it to Facebook or whatever it is. If they're threatening criminal activity, you take it to the police and you report them to your local police department. So, I mean, unfortunately, once you put something on the internet, it's
Hmm.
out there. You can't really take it back. I don't know if this person is saying that there's photos of them outside of their house that somebody took in public or anything. It depends on what's going on with that question.
Here's one. Are there resources to help when you are reporting people who are using fake borrowed, uh, like I'm assuming fake borrowed photos and I guess other information like names, probably just photos. Social media sites will keep stating the posts don't go against their user policy. So what do you do when the social media website says there's nothing we can do?
Just continue to report and complain. Block the person, warn people who follow that person that it's a fake account. You can make comments on the account and let your friends know that somebody is pretending to be you and not to believe certain messages from you, and things like that. And there's not a whole lot else you can do. Jamie's right. You can tell others to report the account as well.
Well, that's
I think
probably
eventually it will get taken care of. It just might take multiple attempts.
okay. We got some now. We're really cooking now. Oh, we also have some more suggestions for trying to get a victim to understand that they're a victim. There's the Socratic method, as we say, which is all about asking questions, asking why. Why would they do this? And that can help them come to the same conclusion about like why would this person who loves me never want to video chat me or always has an excuse to not talk on the phone. Um, so I think that's helpful to just ask some questions about the relationship and try to work through them. Obviously, again, requires a lot of patience, and it can be extremely frustrating and heartbreaking and awful to get someone to understand. Okay,
Yeah.
with Google phone numbers and burner phones, it's easy for people to hide their identity. Yes. Is there a way around that so you can research people before giving them your information or phone number? So this sounds like it's someone who's like on a dating app and wants to meet someone and wants tips about how they can actually research a person.
I mean, you can Google the person's name
Hmm.
or, ask for somebody else you guys might have in common,
Hmm.
a mutual connection. I think there are probably a lot of best practices for meeting on the dating websites. If you look at some of those things or search for them, best practices before I meet somebody in person. Also, you don't have to give them your phone number. You can continue to communicate on the dating site or on the
Which is
social
best
media
practice.
page.
Yeah.
So keep the conversation there. And if you do decide to meet in person, meet at a public place. Let somebody know So let a friend know, someone else know that you're going there and when and to check in with you and make sure that you're back from you afterwards. Meet during the day and do those kinds of things that will allow you to get to know the person before giving up your phone number or your sensitive information. I mean, unfortunately, it's not very hard to find information about somebody these days. There are a lot of data broker sites you can pay and get a profile on somebody. So you could do the reverse. If you have the person's real name, you can look them up. And if you're not able to find anything about a person, there's probably a good chance that they are using a fake name or identity. Um, and
Catfish.
that's where, you have to be really careful. But certainly you could run a background check essentially on somebody if you really want to be cautious before meeting them. Somebody asked if scams can be targeted opposed to just randomly connecting. Yes, absolutely. Especially if you're a high profile individual or maybe you post a lot about crypto or having money or whatever it is, influencers, I'm sure those people get targeted all the time for certain reasons. So whaling is a term that comes to mind with somebody who might have a lot of money or a lot of access. Those folks are targeted specifically for those reasons.
Maybe let's talk a little bit about those random text scams that I think probably all of us have experienced. How did those work exactly? A lot of times you'll see, how are you? Or it was great seeing you the other day. Something that seems like, oh, I don't recognize this number, but they know who I am. What happens
Yeah,
once you say like, oh, I don't recognize, oh, you texted the wrong person. I wasn't
right,
at the dentist.
right. Yeah, I mean those are essentially fishing with a really, really wide net, right? Like they're just texting random numbers, hoping somebody replies. And I think because it's coming through a text message, there's no protections, there's no red flags that are going to be popping up. I think they're doing a little bit better now. Your devices might say, hey, you've never, if this
Mhm.
was unexpected, it might be spam. That's actually what my phone says right now with the number, the message I got earlier. But the goal is really just for them to develop some kind of uh, conversation, and then that can move into either a friendship or a romantic type of conversation.
They'll come across as very attractive.
Yeah, they'll usually
Willing to
send
send some
a
photos.
photo at some point, like, oh, like, sorry to bother you, but maybe it was fate that we are connected. And they'll just look for people that are being nice and that are responsive. And then they exploit that kindness, um, build trust, and then they start to drop hints, usually about crypto investments. That's how a lot of pig butchering scams begin. They just start off as a wrong number text and then the person is nice enough to say, "Hey, sorry, I think you have the wrong number," and then they kind of go from there.
I'm like, oh,
So
ha
they
ha
have a
ha.
whole
How are you?
script and playbook, and all that. So
Um, yeah. Because I feel like they can. I've heard that they can even like develop like fake apps. So you send them money to invest in this crypto that they say, and they show you screenshots, or they can even show you a working app that makes it look like it's going up and up and up.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden, your money's gone. And then they might even ask for more money. That is the pig butchering element of pig butchering, is that they're trying to get it all, bleed you dry. So they'll probably try multiple approaches to get you to spend more money. And again, like there's different types of it, but a romance scam is generally kind of like a big part of it. All
yeah.
right, let's
Once
yeah.
they establish the relationship and the conversations are consistent, they're usually you're talking to somebody on and off, right? Like, and they will say, "Hey, like." Um, I don't know, today was a great day. I made $5,000 on my crypto account, expecting the victim to say, "Oh, how'd you do that?" Or tell me more about how you did that. And then once the person starts to get interested, they're like, "Well, if you really want to get involved, there's this app and you can invest and then you'll see your money in the app." And because these apps are likely to get taken down, once it's proven that it's a fraudulent exchange or fraudulent app, um, the reason that they put them in a side loading app. So Test Flight is an Apple developer app where you can put apps in there for testing. So they'll send these victims over to download test
Hmm.
flight and then find the app within test flight. Or it might be a stood up website on the internet or whatever it is. And so you'll have a login with this account, and it will look like your money is growing and growing, and then you're putting more money in because they're saying, "Oh, put it in today, it's going to double by tomorrow." And then it happens. And they might even allow you to withdraw small amounts back out. But once you have all this money invested and all of your savings are gone and you want the money back, that's when the exit scam starts.
Hmm.
So they'll say, okay, that makes sense. I'm gonna connect you with somebody that can help you. So they send you to a call center, and the call center says, okay, great, we'll get your money out. All we need to do is for you to pay the taxes. And so you've made $100,000. We need you to transfer $20,000 to cover the taxes before we can release the funds. So they're getting more money out of you. And then once that happens, they'll say, okay, great. We got the taxes. Now we can just charge you the withdrawal fee, and it's a 25% fee or something. So that's going to be another $25,000. So they're literally bleeding you dry so that you can think you're getting your money. And after that, you have no more money. And then all the money you've given them is never, ever coming back. None of it's coming back. So that's the point where they've completely drained you. The pig has been fattened and butchered. Um,
Yeah.
so anyway, that's the pig butchering timeline. I want to get to some of the questions that I
Yeah.
see
Here's one
coming
here.
in.
Well, we have a question about support groups or where
Yes,
victims can go to go get help. I'm not avail. I mean, they should always call their local law enforcement, FBI, that sort of thing. Repeat it, report it. But I'm not aware of. I'm sure there are support groups. Um,
there are. I don't
kind of
have a
support group,
like a relation.
support network.
We don't have a relationship with any, but there.
Mhm.
If you just Google, romance scam or investment scam support groups, they are out there. One cool thing that we have a relationship with an FBI agent who holds a monthly Zoom call with people that they know are victims to talk about what's going on, and so that they somehow hopefully some of them realize that they're part of the scam. And then they can also provide support to each other once they realize it.
We've
Um,
got some good options in the chat. So how did the scammers actually get your phone number?
it can come through a lot of ways, but the most common way is probably through a data breach. So a data breach will have usually a name, email, and phone number, or maybe just some pieces of the information, but they know it's a real phone number. And so they just spray out to lists of phone numbers all day long. Um, there are millions and millions of records out there from data breaches. And you can use tools like haveibeenpwned.com to look up by email how many data breaches your email address was part of, and then what other information was part of that as well. And I think there's some other sites that you can look up your actual phone number as well, but
Oh,
phone numbers are really easy to get. And sometimes they just enumerate them. They might send them to every possible combination of phone numbers um, as well.
someone's asking about the have I been pwned. I'm just going to put a
Oh,
link.
yeah, he can put it in the chat.
Um,
PWNED.
yeah, pwned, like owned, but online hacker speak. Uh, yeah, here we go. Okay, we got some that aren't really questions, but they're good statements. Where someone's talking about safe words, family safe words. That's that we recommend that. I'm trying to think of how that would work in a romance context. I'm sure there is one, but basically just having like a word that you don't store online anywhere that you and trusted people know. So if you get called and someone's like, "I've been arrested. I need you to bail me out. I'm being held hostage," you can ask for the safe word.
Hmm. Yeah, if you establish a safe word in advance, that can be really easy. Otherwise you just have to think of something that only the person would know. Like what did we talk about in our last conversation, or where was the last place
Mhm.
we were
Yeah,
together, or I don't know, depending on who it is, you just have to think of something only that person would know.
yeah. Personal questions. That's what someone recommends. All right. Scams seem to have one common thread. The scammer wants you to send them money, usually by Bitcoin, gift cards, or wire transfer. Yes, so usually because you can't just send them, uh, you know. money from your credit card, you usually have to do it in a bit of an odd way that's not traceable. Do you have anything you want to add, Cliff?
It could be through a payment app like
Mhm.
Cash App or PayPal or Venmo, Zelle, there's all sorts of different ways, gift cards. But yeah, I think the hallmark is just when somebody asks for money, money starts to become part of the conversation.
All right, here's one that just came through. Are there tools to help protect our teens from romance scams?
I think the best tool is awareness, just
Yeah, having
talking
a
to your teens
conversation. Yeah.
about this, that people online aren't always who they say they are, and showing them, instances of some of the red flags that we've talked about, and just letting them know that, they can always talk to you and have a resource to talk to about it and to share when th something doesn't seem right. Just educate them about those things. I think that's the best protection is just talking about it and giving them information.
Yeah, I know it's hard. Maybe that kind of leads to a conversation about. Do you want to talk a little bit about sextortion, which is portmanteau of sex and extortion, to give you an idea of what that crime is, because that
Yeah,
is one
one
that unfortunately really targets teenagers.
one growing threat for teens today is something called sextortion. So that's where somebody will befriend a child or a teenager online, pretending to be a classmate or somebody else at their school. And they usually make this possible by befriending friends of the friends. So,
Hmm.
if you think about a tool to help protect your teens, it's making sure that those social media accounts are locked down and that the friends list of the person online is not visible to anyone but them. Because the bad guys will look for friends of friends and connect with those friends first so that when they connect with the person, they have a little bit of credibility that they're connected to other people that they know. So that's one setting in social media apps and Facebook that I definitely think people need to pay attention to. But once they connect with this person, they will usually initiate some kind of conversation. A lot of times it will be a romantic type of conversation, attractive young lady talking to a teenage boy, and they may ask for or they may send themselves. They may send some kind of photo, usually an explicit photo, to the victim, expecting them to send one in return, or asking them to send one to them, promising one in return, or something like this. And once the photo gets sent, they'll turn around and reveal that they aren't who they say they are, and that they're going to embarrass them. They're going to tell all their friends. They're going to share the photo online or send it to them directly unless they pay. So they're extorting the person who sent the photo. And this can be extremely damaging and scary for kids. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to get in
Because this can happen
trouble.
to anybody of any age. It happens to CEOs. It happens to all sorts of
Correct.
people.
It does happen to all sorts of people, but it's especially prevalent right now with teenagers,
Mhm.
especially on sites like Instagram and Facebook or Snapchat. So they would make all these really, really threats, like I'm going to ruin your life, I'm
Mhm.
going to embarrass you unless you pay me. And the payment requests don't ever stop. It's
Mhm.
like $30 a day, $50 a day, $100 a day, on and on and on and on and on. And kids have committed suicide as a result of this.
Mhm.
They have seen no other way out. So I think it's really important to talk to your kids about this threat specifically and make sure that they know that they can always talk to you
Yeah.
and give them that free pass to say, look, you're not going to be in trouble. I just need you to reach out to me if you need help.
Yeah.
If something like this is going on, you need to come talk to me and we'll figure it out. And obviously discouraging kids of sending nude photos
Yeah. But
on the internet or at
even if they
all.
do it, to know that
Right.
they can come and talk to you.
But yes, so like obviously best practice is not to do that in the first place, but it really doesn't even matter anymore. They
Mhm.
can,
Yeah.
bad people will create
AI.
deep
Yeah.
fakes of kids that are sexually explicit and threaten to publish them and embarrass them. So I think it's really important to just give kids a free pass and say, hey, look, if something happens, you need to come to me and we'll figure this out together.
Mhm.
Nothing like this can ruin your life. It's not going to be as bad as somebody might say it will be, but having the avenue and the permission to talk is one of the biggest, I think, mitigations for that kind of threat.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it's scary stuff. All right, going back to some of the questions. Do you consider, okay, I had a question about if you're scammed, if you send crypto to somebody, is that impossible to recover even using a lawyer? I think generally it can be pretty hard.
Yeah, if you send money through crypto, you should, I mean, sending money through certain means is non-refundable, and it can be almost impossible to get that money back. Occasionally, if it's a super large amount of money and you get government or law enforcement involved soon, as quickly as you can, they may be able to help. But they're not going to go after crypto of $1,000 or something like that. It has to be millions of dollars, and even then, it can be pretty difficult to get back. So you just should not send crypto over the internet to somebody you don't know
Yeah.
in the first place. That's our best advice, is not to send the money at first.
All right. Would you recommend identity theft protection that can monitor your social media accounts?
I think those services can be valuable if you find that it's worth it to you to pay whatever the fee is to monitor those accounts. I mean, you can monitor it yourself.
Could
Um,
you explain a little bit like what that would look like? Are they monitoring like are they seeing if someone's trying to catfish as you out there?
That could be. Usually they're going to be looking for your name and email to pop up in certain places. So there's a couple different types of identity theft monitoring. One of them is just looking at your credit report and notifying you or blocking if somebody tries to open an account in your name. The best practice is just to freeze your credit so that nobody can open accounts in your name in the first place. So you just do that by going to each of the major credit reporting bureaus, create a login and then toggle the button that says, freeze my credit report. That way you have to unfreeze it for anybody to open an account. Otherwise, people can open accounts in your name just by having your information, which is oftentimes available through data breaches. And so identity theft protection can watch for your information to be present in a data breach and alert you if it is present in a data breach and what kind of data is included with that. Some of them go beyond that and look at, other identities, so social media identities, email addresses, and things like that, where somebody might be trying to impersonate you or steal your online identity. I'm not super familiar with how it works for social media. I haven't used that type of service before. But I think that they indicate that they can detect and alert you when somebody tries to either access your account or make a duplicate of your account.
All right, now we have a question about sextortion. What can the victim do if the scammer threatens to post the photos on social media? Like if the scammer, the sextortionist says, "Well, I'm going to do because you didn't follow my instructions, I'm going to
Yeah.
do it."
The first thing is the victim should cease communications with the
Yeah.
scammer. They
But
should
also
not talk to
record
them
everything.
anymore.
Take screenshots
Yeah,
of
start
everything.
start start collecting evidence.
Yeah.
Whatever you can get, the name of the account and all those types of things. Um, and report it to the police, report it to if the school needs to be involved, report it to the school, and report it to the social media platform. That is the standard best practice. Beyond that, I think there are starting to become more resources for victims of sextortion, and there may be support groups or pages out there. I don't think we have a support page for NCA, but it's such a problem that there are starting to pop up sites and resources and educational sites that can help um, tell us what to do in these situations. But the first thing is to cease communication and start to preserve evidence and definitely, file a police report. I mean, this is a crime,
Hmm.
and you have to frame it that way that the victim is a victim of a crime.
Yeah.
And it needs to be reported and communicated Hopefully that will at least stop. And if they publish, photos, you just have
I
to
like,
guide the person through
yeah.
the embarrassment and let them know like this will pass. It's not the end of the world and that they're a victim.
Mhm.
Um, I think there's an interesting play there that you can, because deepfakes are possible for people to create of
Mhm.
other people, you could just say, look, just tell everybody it's fake. It's a
Mhm.
fake photo. It's not really you. And there's no way to really prove one way or the other anymore with AI. So, um, I don't know. That's just one idea. But
Yeah.
there are a lot of well-versed experts in this that we can probably find and link to after the call.
Yeah, it's I mean it's also obviously like reporting any of these photos or whatever to the services like Facebook,
Mhm.
Instagram. I mean they're pretty imperfect, um but yeah,
Yeah,
no,
block the, I
it's a
mean,
bad
you
thing.
can block the scammer on social media so they can't,
Yeah.
talk to you anymore and you could communicate with friends that might receive the photos or receive communications from the scammer that this is a scammer and that they should watch out for them.
Okay, we have a question. Do you agree that big part of a crypto money scammed and a romance scam is transferred to crypto wallets? Yes, and cashed out using the financial system in Singapore or similar systems. I mean, that's just kind of how crypto works, correct?
I don't know about specific countries.
Yeah,
I don't really know about I'm not sure what that question's asking.
yeah. I'm not sure if we agree or disagree. But yeah, don't
The
send crypto.
noescaperoom.org is an excellent
Hmm.
resource to share. Thank you, Beverly, for putting that there. We have heard of this before, and it can really illustrate what happens to a victim of sextortion and what that can be like and the entrapment that they can feel.
Hmm.
Excellent awareness tool for law enforcement and parents and teachers and everything like that. So that's a great one. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
I feel like
The
even
story of the
before, oh,
Ukrainian person talking
yeah.
somebody out of $2,000 is pretty interesting. Um, Meeting online and then having a scam in person does, of course, happen. I think when we think about romance scams at NCA and about online, it's mostly online, remote, chats that lead to people losing money. Maybe they go put money in a Bitcoin ATM and things like that. So, um, people get scammed in person too. That hasn't stopped. The way that they meet though, has changed, and the scale of online only scams has certainly changed.
That story reminds me of another story that's not a scam, but this guy I know dated a Ukrainian woman for a while, and then when the war broke out, she was back in the Ukraine, and he said, "Why don't you come and stay with me?" And she said, "I'd rather stay. I don't want to go to Miami." I was like, "That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. I think that's it's pretty intense rejection."
Yeah,
All right.
yes.
Anyway, is there any way we can delete, block, our leaked data from getting used by someone, or simply stop using it? I mean, if it's on the dark web,
The short answer is no.
yeah.
There's not an easy way for you to stop criminals from using your information. You can get new email addresses, you can get new phone numbers if you want to. Um, that might work for a little while, but that's a huge pain. I mean, I can't imagine how difficult it would be to change a phone number today.
Hmm.
And emails,
Yeah.
over time you could certainly get new email addresses and reset all of your accounts. And
My
it'd be a
dad has
lot of
like
work.
15 email addresses.
It'd be a lot of work. And there are actually anonymization services out there that can give
Mhm.
you different email addresses for different accounts. That way, if one account gets breached, only that one email address is breached. I think Apple actually has it built in to your, keychain and stuff. But beyond that, just making sure that you're not reusing passwords, making sure that you have multi-factor authentication turned on whenever and wherever possible, locking down your phone number. So a lot of cell phone providers have SIM swap protection now, where you can tell them, that you want to turn on enhanced protection for SIM swapping, turn that on, and then freeze your credit. Like I mentioned before, that way if your credit data is stolen and published to the dark web, it can't be used to open accounts in your name. So those are some best practices. And
I know.
we put a link in the chat to Have I Been Pwned,
Hmm.
which is a good way you can check to see if your information has been
I have it
exposed
right
on the
here.
dark web.
Dang it.
That's a really good one.
Oh, I'm just sending it to all the people. I'm not sorry. How does
And
Zoom work? Here you go.
yeah, Have I
Um,
Been Pwned is the easiest way to check the
yes.
dark web, I think, for data breaches. And then there are services like Experian, Identity Works, ID Watchdog was mentioned earlier, Norton LifeLock, Cloaked. There's a whole bunch of service providers out there that have dark web monitoring. Google had it, and it was part of the Google One subscription,
Mhm.
but they I think are ending that. They're ending that service pretty soon.
Yeah, this is a question. How can you check the dark web? What, like Cliff said, I think maybe like talking about free. I mean, this is kind of getting far afield from romance scams specifically, but we always recommend keeping your credit frozen. A lot of times, if you find out your information was lost in a data breach, you'll get that letter. Oftentimes, they'll offer free credit monitoring. We recommend that you keep your credit frozen, but you can also do the credit monitoring, and a lot of times they'll have dark web monitoring as part of that.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, does anyone have any final questions? You have us for another 12 minutes. You can ask us about our personal lives. We're open books.
I don't know about that.
So Valentine's Day webinar, Cliff. No trivia today. Yeah, no trivia. Just like I said, we're keeping it loose. We're just spitting facts, having fun,
Mm.
answering questions,
We do
talking
have
about
an
you.
interesting feature on our site. It's called Fisher.
Yes.
If you go to
Yeah, we should talk about that.
fisher.staysafeonline.org, you can play and try to guess if the profile is a real person or not. So that's something that you can share, um, with friends and family, and they can kind of check it out and see, how hard it is to really tell if somebody is real or not.
Hmm.
I don't know if we have a romance scam toolkit
We
available right
do.
now.
Yes.
If we do, that would be a good link to put in
It's
there.
part of Fisher.
It's part
Fisher
of
is
Fisher. Okay,
the
cool.
yeah, Fisher is the romance scams toolkit.
Got it.
And
Got
there's
it.
some graphics. Here I put a link in for everybody. It's a fun little interactive thing created by our artistic director, FA, and myself. We have a lot of fun doing it. Some more tips, um, and some fun social graphics you can download, share to your friends, put on your company intranet,
Yeah, it's a
put on your
great
own
time
social
to post
media.
about it for awareness, throw them up on
Yes.
LinkedIn and everything.
Yeah.
We
There's
should talk
some
about then and now,
Valentine's Day
Barry.
comic.
Then and
Sorry,
now.
what? Yeah.
So we should talk about then and now as well.
Yes. Yeah, because we get into some of this. Yeah. So we have a workbook. Let me find the link that everyone can get.
You can just go to thenandnow.info. So then and now is our older adults campaign. So this is designed for our you know, baby boomer generation, kind of the over 60 crowd. And it really takes some of the best practices for cybersecurity and scams and breaks it down in a way that our older adults can understand and be able to learn. So we use analogies and language that kind of relates things to how they used to be and how they compare to how they are today. So we cover topics like passwords,
We do
multi-factor
get into pig
authentication.
butchering and how to
We
avoid
do talk
that
about
romance
scams,
scams. Yeah, but
and phishing and using password manager and things like that. And so it's available online as a free resource. You can click through and see all the content. And it's also available as a printed workbook. So
mhm.
you can actually order one or 10 or
A
100,
thousand.
however many you want, and we'll ship them out and you can hand it to your parents, your aunts and uncles, your friends, your community members, churches. And we're actually just finishing up a facilitator guide so that you
Hmm.
can do a workshop in your
Yeah.
communities. So I'm actually
So
a
it's a pitch
YMCA
deck.
member, for example,
Mhm.
and when it's complete, my first workshop will be at the Y. So I'm going to
Oh, that's
invite
fun.
older adults over there and take them through the content. So we're going to create a presentation, we're going to create a facilitator guide, and then you can order workbooks to give out.
Yeah. So
And then
you're
we'll probably do one or two webinars, like a train the trainer style webinar. So
probably do them throughout
we'll
the
do them
year.
periodically, and we'll probably make the recordings available as part of that toolkit. I would think so. Um, and Lisa and I actually are going to be doing a workshop, a learning lab at the RSA conference this year. And we will be able to, if you're going to RSA, you can register for our workshop and get the full experience and learn, communications techniques, using extreme empathy, using analogies, and we're going to role play and have people in the group pretend to be seniors that they know, and then the other person will pretend to be the cybersecurity expert, and then learning how to communicate and break through some of those barriers. And I think one of the biggest things for security people, a lot of people who are interested in security information or are cybersecurity professionals is that we see a lot of technical people have a hard time communicating technical concepts to non-technical people. Um, People are asking what RSA is. So RSA is a big cybersecurity conference. It's held every year in San Francisco, and we will be presenting our workshop on Thursday. So if you're attending RSA, you can sign up and find our workshop. I think I might have a link to RSA available. So it's an industry conference. If you're in the cybersecurity industry, typically that's who attends RSA. It's not cheap to go to, but if you're already going, I highly encourage you to come. I think we actually have a discount code as a association member of RSA. So if you haven't registered and you want to go, look, I think we sent an email out this week, but we can definitely share that discount code as well. So, um,
We got one more question. It sounds like it's kind of like it's a crypto version of what are those scams called? Where you're sent money and then you return money. Um, like an accidental deposit scam, a similar
mhm,
thing. They
mhm.
might try to establish trust by sending you crypto and then
Yeah,
you ask for it back.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We've heard about that for other types of payments
Mhm.
as well. It could just literally be like you get a PayPal payment
Yeah.
or whatever Venmo, and they'll ask to send it back. Um, Employment scams have worked that way as well. Like
Mhm.
if you get a job, they'll send you a check that's like a really
Yeah.
big
That's been
check,
going
and
on
then they'll
for
ask you to send
decades.
either
That's
the
been
whole
going on
thing
a
back or
while.
part of it back. So sending you money means that that's probably stolen goods or
Yeah.
compromised funds, right? So don't send the money back. Just wait for the platform to pull the money back out of your account
Yeah,
because
because you
that's most
generally
likely
can't
what's going to
keep it
happen.
either. Like if you think like, oof, it's like a monopoly thing, like a bank error in your favor. It's not
Yeah,
the case. They'll
yeah,
take the money. They'll get
yeah.
that money back.
I would honestly either report it or do nothing.
Yeah.
Don't send the money back because what will happen is money that you send is guaranteed by your payment methods.
Hmm.
But money that you receive can come from anything. So if the payment method that they use to send you the money turns out to be fraudulent, it will eventually get caught and reported. That money will be pulled back out of your PayPal account that they sent you. And then this is a kind of an, I think what Jeffrey is saying is there's an evolution of that scam where it's now, crypto or other types of payment methods that could be deposited into your account. So don't send the money back. It's up to the person who sent it to get the refund or the platform itself. So. Yeah, never send money back if somebody sends you money by accident, especially if you don't know them.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, everybody. I think it's been. I know it's. We don't usually wear ties to work, but this would be a very like loosen the tie affair and just have some talks about romance and cybercrime, not all's fair in love and war, but hopefully we can keep our money safe.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. Thank you for everyone for coming. I don't know if we have any other questions real quick, or if Cliff, do you have any closing thoughts?
I think it's just it's important to recognize that the victims out there are maybe embarrassed or ashamed.
Mhm,
And I think that's something that talking about it makes a little bit better. So
mhm,
if you know a victim, just be empathetic and understanding
mhm,
and realize that there's a huge industry of thousands of bad guys out there
mhm,
against us as individuals. They're coordinated, they're communicating, they're working together, and the victims are isolated and alone
mhm.
and embarrassed, and they're not talking about it. So I think we need to remove the shame from victims. We need to not blame victims. We need to blame the larger ecosystem that enables this
Yeah.
to happen. And we need to advocate for law enforcement, advocate for controls and tools, and advocate for better protections on our online platforms.
Possible to share useful awareness websites or resources. I think some people have been sharing quite a few good ones in the chat here. Obviously, we got to plug our website, which is StaySafeOnline.org. Like we said, the then and now is great for older adults, especially if they might be in a situation like this. But yeah, do you have any other resources you'd like to share, Cliff?
Um, let's see. Frozen PII is a good one
Mm,
that can help you learn how to freeze your credit. The FTC website has a lot of information about scams. The Identity Theft Resource Center,
mm,
IDtheftcenter.org, they actually have a hotline, a phone number that you can call if you think you're the victim of identity theft or fraud. And that is not just traditional identity theft. That's
hmm.
account takeover, online scams, anything. And they'll answer the phone. So if you have somebody who is experiencing a scam, or if you experience a scam or fraud yourself, you can call them and they'll actually talk you through how to help. Versus AARP, FTC, those call centers will take your information, but they will not actually help you.
Would
So IDtheftCenter.org is a good
ID
one.
Theft Center, do you think they would help you if, like, you're in a situation where you find out your photos are being used on social media for fake accounts or something?
That's a good question. We got somebody from the ITRC
Oh,
I see
okay.
in the chat, Mona. Mona, is that something you guys help with?
If someone thinks that like their social media identity is being
Yeah, do you help with social
stolen,
media stuff? She might have signed off.
yeah. Oh well.
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know,
Yeah,
Barry. They help with a lot of
kind of.
stuff.
It's complicated.
They'll help you as much as they can, and they may point
Yeah.
you to a
Yes.
resource or another website or something like that that can help.
Yeah. It's complicated. That's
It's
what.
always complicated, I
Can you
know.
can you still
But
put that on your Facebook? But
if you
I
need to
don't
get
know.
in touch with a real human, that's
Mhm.
exactly where you should
Yeah.
go. Um, and also, we are always happy to point folks in the right direction as well. But there's a ton of resources on our website
Mhm.
and a ton of resources out there. So there's a good chance good old Google search or
Yeah.
ChatGPT will point you to uh, something that can help at least.
Yeah. I guess if you fall in love with ChatGPT, then ChatGPT can't really scam you, can it? But that's a whole
Well, I
different
don't know.
that's a whole other
That's a
webinar.
that is a whole other webinar. We don't have time for that one.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.